4 ways to avoid the 3% stamp duty surcharge. When George Osborne introduced 3% stamp duty surcharge back in 2016, he did something catastrophic for the property market, especially at the entry level where small independent developers buy property, renovate them, flip them, etc. because he made it so that it was not viable for a lot of them, because adding 3% stamp duty to the existing stamp duty, especially say down in London, made a significant difference to the margins, and a lot of developers gave up developing these properties. And they are the properties that we urgently need, because they are many of the first time buyer properties. They are the properties that fall below the energy performance requirements to rent now, and that's before it's raised to a C in 2025. But there are 4 ways that you can avoid that 3% surcharge, and here they are. So the first one is MDR, multiple dwelling relief. If you're buying several dwellings, which could be 3 or 4 flats, or if you're buying a HMO with self-contained rooms, so that could be a room with its own shower, a small kitchenette in the room, all behind one door, that is classed as a dwelling. So if there are several rooms in that HMO that are self-contained, then that qualifies for MDR relief. Now, what's important to remember here is it is the timing of the transaction that is crucial. For example, it doesn't matter what the property was before or after completion. It is the state of the property at the time of completion, which normally would need to be verified with a surveyor's report or something like that, that HMRC would then accept, and you would not have to pay the additional 3%, which can add up to quite a lot of money. Second one is mixed use. So if you're buying something like a shop, it's commercial, it doesn't have the additional 3% surcharge. If you're buying a shop that has 2 or 3 flats above, even though that building is more residential than commercial, it doesn't matter. It still qualifies as mixed use, and therefore you are entitled to mixed use relief. The third one, and this is quite an interesting one, is uninhabitable residential property. A couple bought a property and argued under the law that they did not have to pay the stamp duty surcharge, and the HMRC took them to court. The case, referred to as Bewley versus HMRC 2019. Feel free to look it up. In P.N. Bewley Limited versus HMRC, the tribunal decided that the purchased property, in this case a bungalow and associated plot, was deemed not suitable for use as a dwelling as at the date of completion. Once again, it's at the time of completion. Therefore, only the regular rate of SDLT was payable. Once again, the condition of the property at the time of completion is important. This has changed the game for all properties in need of renovation that were made unsuitable for small developers after the 3% surcharge was introduced. So this is important. And the fourth one, going by the changes in the recent budget, won't surprise many of you about how things really have been over the last few years. Buy 6 or more properties in one transaction, and then you don't have to pay the extra 3% stamp duty. That's correct. So you or I want to buy a property to rent out, to renovate, develop, whatever, we have to pay an additional 3%. And yet Lloyds Bank can buy 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 in one go. As long as it is more than 6, they do not have to pay the 3% surcharge. So that's the fourth way that you can actually avoid the 3% surcharge. Just one last point on the fourth one is, if you buy 6 or more properties, that you can also avoid it by using the multiple dwellings relief. So you can work it out whichever is better for you at the time. So those of you who can buy 6 or more in one go, happy days. For the rest of us, it has to be one of the other 3 if that's possible. So if you are considering buying a renovation project, you need to do a little bit of research to ensure that a surveyor will deem it as uninhabitable. For example, the one with this couple had asbestos and had a few other issues that would not unreasonably deem it to be uninhabitable. So it's worth conducting your research beforehand and maybe getting the advice of a surveyor that they would be happy to deem it as uninhabitable. Then you can argue the case with HMRC and save yourselves quite a bit of money. That's all for now, and I will see you in the next video.